What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. So in the next coming For the Greater Walls, we had a question that talked about the Halo stars and the Halo devices as to what they are and what they're used for. And for the most part, we got it wrong. I was totally thinking of the Halo devices from, surprise, surprise, Halo. And those are not what they are. We kind of did get the area of space as the Halo zone, I guess you can call it, correct. But I'll go into a little bit more detail here to give you guys a better answer and a better understanding of what these things are. So let's get into it. So the Halo zone is basically the ring of undiscovered space around the Milky Way galaxy. It's basically the border between the void between our galaxy and others, and it hasn't really been explored by the Imperium. Anytime anybody goes into this area, they go missing. There's a bunch of mysteries and there's a bunch of area of it that we have no idea what's in there. Are there warp storms? Are there some dangerous Xenos? Like, what exactly is going on in there? We can only assume, but we do have a few instances of lore that do talk about them, one of them being the Makarian Crusade. So if you don't know about the Makarian Crusade, it is basically the best crusade that was done by Lord Solar Makarius. This guy was a genius, awesome tactician, strategist, warrior of the Astra Militarum, and he led this crusade that spanned pretty much the entire galaxy, reclaiming worlds for the Imperium and just being successful in pretty much every aspect. However, this crusade was so grand and so spectacular that by the time he went to other planets, the first planets that he conquered were becoming to get, unruly, they were rebelling, and it was just hard to keep the ground that they were attaining, and he had no choice but to keep moving forward. Eventually, he came to this area of space that was unknown. The Halo Zone was an area that he wanted to go into, but unfortunately by this time, all of his soldiers, his generals, basically the war horse that was the Makarian Crusade, was running on empty. Their morale was low, they'd been fighting for who knows how many years, low on ammunition, low on fuel, and he had no choice but to go back. And the thing that pushed him to go back is that he sent a few scouts, I guess you can say, a few ships to go into this area of space and see what exactly was going on, but they never returned. The astropaths couldn't communicate. There was a weird sense of unease in this area, and because of this, he couldn't tackle on the risks. It was a losing battle from the beginning, and just getting to this area of space is a difficult task in and of itself. So that is probably the most info we've gotten from any crusade that has gone into this area. Another thing that could become more known, or at least another theory that could make sense, is that the area of the Halo stars could be where the Tyranids reside. So we know that the Tyranids came from outside the galaxy, and the tendrils of the hive mind are wrapping around the Imperium, so perhaps the Halo stars are the shadow of the warp made manifest or something like that, and that may be why the astropaths can't really do anything to get communication in or out of this area, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't, because also you have this warp storms and a feeling of unease. There could be demons, it could be some type of warp tear or something like that. One can only assume what is going on here, but we do know that it is possible to go through this area, because like I said, the Tyranids have gone from outside inside. The Necron Lord has gone past it and back, so we know that, I believe his name is Zarek, basically the emperor for the Necrons. He did leave the galaxy, and then he came back to warn the Necrons of there's a huge threat out there, we need to prepare. So the Silent King knows what's up. He has traveled through and back. Obviously the Silent King is super powerful. but it shows you that it is possible to get through this area of space, but it is a very, very difficult area. We do have other instances of like rogue traders and Mechanicus explorador fleets that have ventured into it, but again, they never return. So who knows what exactly is in here? What made the Silent King be able to go through and back? Maybe it's like the whole reality shifting technology that they have. But yeah, the Halo stars, the zone of Halo, is a very threatening, very real barrier preventing the Imperium, and I guess you can say anything living in the Milky Way galaxy, from venturing out, and for the most part prevents anything from outside the galaxy venturing in, with a few exceptions. Another thing too, of course, is the old ones. We know they left the galaxy, so that means they had to have traversed the Halo stars. So as devastating as it is, I think technologically, the Imperium is not fit to handle anything of this scale. Now, moving on from the Halo stars, we had another question that talks about the Halo devices. So let's go ahead and see what exactly these things are. So Halo devices are ancient artifacts discovered in ruins of ancient worlds that are within or nearby the Halo stars. They are of course Xenos in origin, and these devices use a process that is beyond the understanding of anything the Imperium has uncovered. They have a lot of ties to manipulating the body, and not just that, but also the mind, making the life form extremely durable and very difficult to injure and kill. Essentially, these Halo devices make whoever is wielding them immortal. But at what price? That is something the Imperium has not understood. They can't figure out why, what is happening. But immortality is something that the Imperium for sure will be thirsting over to get their hands on. I can easily see planetary governors sending entire fleets and anything they can really to get their hands on a device that would essentially make them immortal. Unfortunately though, we have seen that one of the side effects of this immortality is a means of thirsting for blood, the need to consume biomass, flesh, anything, bodily tissues like that. So they're kind of like zombies in a way, but they still have their wits about them to a certain extent. A little bit more lore on these planets where these devices come from is that they're utterly lifeless. They are dead worlds that have once burned bright and maybe had a thriving civilization millennia ago, but now they are decayed, empty husks of what they used to be. Sometimes you're lucky enough to have ruins of some civilization, but oftentimes you see no notice of that. Many scholars believe that these worlds predate even that of the Eldar, and oftentimes rogue traders can venture onto the planet and see what was going on here, but it is a very difficult task, and who knows if they'll be able to return. It's not as deadly as going into the Halo stars, because they're just out of the rim of that, but still, having something be that close to this area of unknown space is deadly, and it could lead to who knows what type of Xenos monstrosities. But that's not to say that these devices were never recovered. You can find them on the black market. The Imperium has sold a few of these to people, but at what expense? Clearly they will cost a shiny penny and more, and not just that, but if you do wield this device, you will essentially lose your humanity to become this maddening dog that just wants to devour flesh and blood. But is it worth it at the cost of immortality? That is up to whoever is willing to buy these to know. Now the Ordo Xenos and the Adeptus Mechanicus do know of these devices and have deemed them heretical. So if anybody is caught wielding one of these, clearly they will be put to death if possible. Because again, how can you kill something that is essentially immortal? You have to remove the Halo device in and of itself. Again, there is tons of risk and corruption around these devices, so if you do find one, chances are you're in a very sticky situation and you gotta act super tactical and defensive, because hey, you might be involved into something much larger than yourself. So what do these Halo devices actually look like? Well, they do come in many different forms and appearances, and oftentimes it looks like time has no effect on them, so they look just as new as when they were created. Oftentimes these can easily be confused for some type of jewelry, but once you hold this awesome relic, you can feel the power humming inside. Another aspect of these materials is that they have nearly impervious. Another thing about the Halo devices is that almost no harm can come to them. It seems like almost the power of immortality has also been bestowed on the device itself, for if you try to destroy it by any means, it will oftentimes survive the attack. And probably one of the most interesting traits is that these devices will not bond with anybody or anything that is a worshiper of chaos, or happens to be possessed by chaos, or is indeed a psyker. It seems that the Halo device has nothing to do with the warp, and maybe it has some type of a mind or a will of its own. These devices do, however, require a flesh of a host. So basically, even though there's like mechanicists that want it, they can't really integrate it on them if they're fully artificial beings. They have to have some type of flesh. They have to be living in some type of sense. So that kind of does restrict as to who and what can wield it. But if you have a living, breathing human body, to some extent, you are capable of using it. Now there are 3 phases into having this device integrated into the body. So once you bond to this device, you essentially become rejuvenated. You will kind of de-age to the peak of your youth and health. If you have any diseases, any type of conditions, that will be pushed out of your body, and you will be the healthiest and the most youthful that you've ever been. Not just that, but any injuries that come your way, you will be able to brush aside and your body will rejuvenate almost instantly. Now, even though your body is almost impervious to harm, one thing that does begin to crumble away is the user's mind. You will begin to have paranoid thoughts and violent mood swings. You will even hear whispers in the dark. But as time progresses, you will learn that no longer will you need to sleep. Your body will sustain itself through various hours of a comatose state in which you will have vivid nightmares. After years of being bonded to this device, you will begin to take on a different appearance. Your body will have an exoskeleton like that of an insect. You will also heal any damage almost instantaneously. You won't need to sleep, eat, or drink anything, as your body is fully self-sufficient, and anything that you can think of that will come your way to harm you will instantly be you won't even have to you'll ignore it essentially. So as I said, you will no longer need to eat, sleep, or drink, but you will get an insatiable hunger, a hunger for blood, a hunger for flesh. Now, if the wearer during this phase does suffer some type of wound or some type of attack that renders them almost dead, so for example, being hit point blank by a las cannon, being thrown into molten lava, the body may take too much damage too fast to the point where it can't regenerate, and this is probably the best time to remove the object from you. For if the object is not removed, even if you're reduced to just a lump of flesh to this object, you could theoretically regenerate your mind and body back to how it was. However, this type of regeneration will for sure drive the recipient insane. Now, the tertiary phase is started in 2 ways: resurrection, from what I previously spoke about, or after being integrated with the Halo device for decades. At this point, there is no separation between the user and the device. The body is now permanently altered, and you are essentially not human anymore. You will have burning, radiant eyes, armor-like skin, and even a beetle-like carapace has been recorded in some individuals. Your fingers and your arms will be transformed into something more like blades, and essentially you are just a grotesque abomination, and honestly, Like I said before, you are human no longer. If anybody sees you, if any person of the Inquisition finds you, they're most likely going to assume you are a Xenos. Now, even though your personality and identity is completely destroyed, you are now a Xenos of immeasurable power, capable of ripping a man's head from his shoulders with ease, capable of surviving the touch of the void of space, and you can even come back from the dead multiple times. Every time one revives, they are attacked with an insatiable hunger, and a killing spree will for sure commence. So clearly these devices are highly sought after, essentially making yourself into an unkillable zombie, but much more powerful. Who or what created these things? Are these things the ones surrounding the Halo stars, and that's probably why nobody has been heard of that has gone into it? One can only assume. But that's all I got for today, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Sorry we didn't get this right in the For the Greater Wall, but hopefully you guys have come to this video and now know that Halo devices aren't the same Halo devices from Halo. Hey, we're all smarter now, right? But if you guys do enjoy the codex that is the One Mind Syndicate YouTube page, we do have supplements for you guys in the form of other social media. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So if you guys want more One Mind Syndicate goodness, check us out on there as well. And hey, a like, a comment, and a subscription will be greatly appreciated. If you guys do enjoy the topic of the Halo stars and want your friends to also know the awesomeness that is these devices, share it. Share the video to your friends, let them know. And that's all I got for today, guys, so can't wait to read your thoughts down below, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.